When your opponent wastes time in the opening, punish them for it. Do not muck around. And before this game I played, I was thinking develop, like as if I'm really thrashing it out to myself. To develop and not muck around with all the other silly moves, even though I still make some. So here is this game to demonstrate what not to do in the opening. So already white has allowed black to make another move in the opening. Because if we, the bishop's just moved back to f4. So we've got four things that have happened for white. And black to move has got four things to happen for them. So this is so simple sometimes, just like thinking about this sort of thing. Okay, so here we go. Now look at what happens next. Knight b5. Now this is not a bad move, I think, but it's taking the eye. It's taking the eye off this square here. Okay, it's taking the eye off e4 for this knight. Of course, it's attacking c7, which I have to do something about. Otherwise, I'm just going to lose an exchange at least. And so I have to do something about this, and you can clearly see from the score that I do. But this is more instructive on developing in the opening and centralization and king safety. Excuse me. That's one of the things about the opening that is so important, is development. And so white's sort of got, again, 4, okay, versus 5, okay, and white is white. I know that I often play a lot of pawn moves in the opening, but there's something to show for it. But, it's not very good, is it? So here I play a developing move, which is knight a6. Of course, now this pawn is defended, and now comes e3. That's all right. That's okay. And I just castle. And here comes white's, what I would call a reasonably major mistake, is queen d2. Okay. So now we're going to just, after knight e4 and queen e2, count again. Okay. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, of course, I've moved that knight twice, and now I move another thing. Watch this. Watch c6, and the knight goes back to c3. You see, to c3. And now if we count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we go 1, 2, you get the point, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now white is sort of 2 moves behind. So now I move a piece again twice in the opening. I play bishop b4. Now this is obviously very tangy for white to meet, because all of a sudden this knight on c3 is a target. And so white is threatened with just knight c3 and bishop c3 check, and bishop takes rook. So that's the threat. If it's black's move, which it isn't, it's white's move now. So now just about all attempts to survive with this double 3-mover knight move are foiled by black's hand, or by the position. So queen d3, and so strike while the iron is hot. I play queen a5. Now I've developed 1, 2, 3. These are not counting for development moves, but look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 behind with a knight on e4. So here comes rook d1. So I actually play knight c3 here. bc3, bishop c3, check, and here comes knight d2. So here I pay tribute to what I'm saying here by playing the following move, because there are lots of temptations here for me to play, and one of the temptations is to play knight b4, but that isn't any good here. It is sometimes with that knight not there, because if queen takes c3, then knight c2, check, and the king would have to play to here to defend the queen. So would have to play to here to defend the queen because it's on pre, and it can't capture the knight on c2 as it's check with the queen, you see. Sort of thing like that, disguise. But I was actually kind of tempted to I looked at it at least, but it just, if I play knight b4, then white just simply plays queen c3. So moving on, I played a developing move. I will clap myself. I played bishop d7, and so well done. And now we can count again. We can count. White is now pawn down. White has 2, 4, 6, comparative to black's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Is that right? I've now got these rooks looking at each other. Okay, they're now connected, but I haven't finished my development yet till one of them is active on at least a half open file. Otherwise, I haven't completed my development in the opening yet. So here comes bishop d7 and g3. Well, it's about time that white played g3, but if anything, white should get on out of there. White should, of course, play bishop e2, I think, and castle and just lick their wounds. Okay, but white does not play that. And as well as that, once I open this bishop diagonal up to bishop to b5, okay, with c5 first, of course, then if this bishop leaves this diagonal, okay, a lot of arrows, eh? If the bishop leaves this diagonal and sits on g2, then this bishop is going to look pretty primo. And what's white going to do? What's white going to do with their queen on d3, who looks like she can't move after that sort of scenario? And also the king can't move anywhere. I think the queen will be lost because there's no knight c4 even. Even if there was, it's just bishop c4, blah, blah, blah. So bishop d7, g3. So this almost counts as a non-move because white should really do something about getting out of here. So, of course, I play c5. I want to join in maybe my... I want to join in with this bishop, especially if bishop g2, then I want to go bishop b5, don't I? Because it's the win of the queen. The queen's going to be lost, or something fatal will come upon white's position, which is a bit sad. So c5, dc5. Ouch. Now that is offering me to enter another piece into e4 again, and this knight is very tender. So knight c5, where does the queen go? This is sad. The queen now goes to a terrible spot, the worst spot on the board, and you can see it, queen d4. Well, I'm not sure what's happening here. I was playing in Zen mode. I played bishop d4, e4, knight e4. I'm not going to take too long on these moves. Bishop d3, bishop b5. Might as well swap off my bad white squared bishop. Then we have castle, bishop d3, cd3, knight d2, bishop d2, queen b5, rook fe1, rook fe8. I'm still going to look after my pawns, and I was actually thinking of king f7 here instead. Bishop f4 and then h6. I'm not sure why you're doing that, David. Bishop e5, rook ac8, rook b1, queen a6. There were other moves, of course. a4, rook c2, a5, queen d3. I've now dropped the ball. Rook f1, rook ec8, rook b7, not looking. g5, rook g7, king f8, rook a7, f4. So we can at least have a pawn entering into the myriad of things happening to White's camp. And with a pawn on f3, what is my big threat? It's very similar to my other game that I hosted the other day on this chess channel. And by the way, I'm now on Twitch. I've now actually started on Twitch, and I've also got Streamline OBS loaded onto my computer, which is really good. So after f3, I'm actually threatening just queen takes, rook check, and rook c1. So that might follow soon. Rook h7. Now, clearly, Dave, I can take this, but I'm not sort of mucking around with capturing this. I just play f3, okay? And so now White might get some checks, but after rook h6, I played, of course, queen takes f1, and now my opponent has got 1:52 seconds, see, on the clock. See, my opponent has got 1:52 seconds on the clock. And I gave up this tournament because I played one game in this tournament. My opponent has got 1 minute 52 seconds on their clock. And guess what happens next turn? Okay, this is sour grapes. And like, I don't like this, but it's just the way it is. I've got a pre-move of rook c1. Look what happens next. My opponent now let it go down to 3 seconds and didn't move. Okay, so poor sportsmanship, but that's their choice. They can do that sort of thing, but it's poor sportsmanship at the end of the day, I think. I'd rather not play chess if all my opponents did that to me. I just would rather not play, and it annoys other chess players too, not just me. Okay. That's all I've got for you today. I might have more, but I'm going to go on Twitch soon. And I'm really enjoying Twitch because the Streamline OBS system is very, very nice to use. It's got a lot of things set up for lazy people like me that don't want to sort of have to do all the sort of like figuring out how to put this in and put that on and all that sort of stuff. Okay? Bye for now.